What I'm witnessing at the combines, there's really one word: freaky. It's freaky. The athletes today that are prospects for the NFL are just freaky. I'll make this point to you. No defensive tackle was faster than my best times I ever ran. However, I'm going to get into why a lot of these kids, I mean, the athletes today you see that go into the NFL are just utterly amazing. Amazing stuff, man. By the way, we appreciate each and every single one of you coming here on this Friday. Thank you so much. Please hit the like button. Super chats go to the top. Thank you again. We are 2 days into the combines. We are 12 days away from the start of free agency. I'd say this to you. The more that Zach Bond has not been offered a contract, why haven't the Eagles offered him a contract? If you're a priority in life, you make that priority happen now. Why haven't you given him a deal? Why haven't you offered him anything? You're 12 days to training camp. Or excuse me, free agency. Why don't you have a deal on the table? Now, you could have preliminary talks with the agent. That could be going on behind the scenes. I don't know that. I'm not privy to that. Okay? But the longer this goes, the more this favors the Myles Garrett deal. And I told you this the other day, that this is like a convention for the general managers and presidents of the NFL teams. You want to hear what's going around Indianapolis? A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, 2 draft picks, and you can have Myles Garrett. Now, I'm not saying both. I'm saying one or the other. By the way, we got to start the program off, as we always do, with big sales. We appreciate you. Hit that like button. Okay? By the way, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are nowhere in the building compared to how great a player that guy is. You don't have a football player on your team better than him. I've said that for 3 straight days. You don't. He is the best non-quarterback football player in the National Football League. Do you understand that? And he's got 3 or 4 more great years ahead of him. Nobody on your team's better. Nobody with any brains in the NFL would say the Eagles have a better player than Myles Garrett. That's not factual. Year in and year out, general managers name him the best football player in the league. Know this. You're the world champions. If I'm Howie Roseman, you got to make me want to make that deal. Howie's not going to rip up a game plan that has been successful for him for just some schmuck. You're not going to be talking about potentially trading either a Devontae Smith or a A.J. Brown for just some. I'm not trading A.J. Smith, as I said the other day, Trey Hendrickson or Max Crosby. I'm not doing that. That's not happening. Myles Garrett makes you invincible. Do you understand that? He makes you invincible. You're going to pretty much bring every single guy back and run it back on the offensive side. You get this. Let me ask you something here. Who do you think you can live without to win a Super Bowl if you got Garrett? Devontae Smith? Or Zach Bond? And you add Myles Garrett. You can live without Devontae. You've seen that. AJ's a different question. Plus, AJ's contract is a little bit more difficult to have to eat some of that cap money. Devontae's movable. You know why? He made it movable with the deal he signed. Folks, every idiot that posts, he's too old, I don't want to do it, don't be part of this conversation. Because your general manager's contemplating it. Not you. Because if you wanted Zach Bond, the week after the Super Bowl, you would have had him inked to a deal. The more this goes on, you know what the agent's telling his player? I'm not signing a contract, even if you put a contract in front of me. I'm 12 days away from payday. Why in the world would I take less money to play in Philly? Makes no sense. I can go out and test the free agent market and sign with Philly if I want. Why would I not want to see what my market value is? Why wouldn't the Eagles want to see what his market value is? Why would Howie want to negotiate blind? Now, I don't know. Here, who wants to see the market value? Howie or the agent? Or both? Why should Howie Roseman offer a $17.9 million contract for Zach Bond if no one's willing to offer that? You're negotiating against yourself. You're negotiating blind. 1-year player, 28 years old. You know what's funny? Some of you people in here believe that Zach Bond is not tradable. He's totally tradable. He's totally, hey, by the way, you know what the conversation is also in Indianapolis? That Howie just might walk away from each and every single one of the top 4 guys. I don't think he walks away from Becton. But he could walk away from Josh Sweat, Zach Bond, and Milton Williams. And get this, because he's after the bigger prize. Myles Garrett. That's the word going around Indianapolis. I mean, your general manager has not offered, and you're 12 days out. Now, look, could you see a rush of contracts being put on the table on Monday? Yeah. Could there be back and forth conversation going on right now with, say, a guy like Drew Rosenhaus about Josh Sweat? Absolutely. And I believe that is going on. And if you're Zach and you're the agent, you're trying to drive the market price up. We got so much to hit on. Please hit the like button. We're going to talk to Skip Holtz, the head football coach of the Birmingham Stallions, UFL football, the Rocks League, is going to be starting up in a couple days. And we're going to talk to him. Yes, that's Lou Holtz's son. That'll be at 3:30. We will talk to our friend who's at the Combines, Jason Cole, at 4:30. Zander's going to jump aboard with us at the top of the 5 o'clock Eastern time. So hit the like button. Supers go to the top. I've got winners and losers that I saw on the first day of the Combines. We'll take a look at, I think today is DBs and tight ends. Not a deep group of tight ends, but there's some players that could be there for the Eagles to consider. Do me a favor and hit the like button here. Now, let's start it off with this. Hit the like button. Thank you, guys. The more days that this goes on, the more this is about Myles Garrett. And when do you guys think it's appropriate for Myles Garrett? This is what I think is going to happen. Free agency is going to start. You're going to lose these guys. Everybody's going to be screaming at the top of their lungs. This is where I think you make this Myles Garrett. When is the best time, if you're going to do this, to make the trade for Myles Garrett? When's the best time for Cleveland, Philly, and the player? Remember something now. He's got a no trade. He's not going to New England. He's not going to Tennessee. Now, is it pre-draft? Post-draft? Post-June 1? if this deal with Myles Garrett goes down, I'm going to have 3 months of content because I don't think this deal would happen until June 2nd. That's why Howie said, be patient. The team you see right now, he kind of tipped his hand when he was in front of the media. Remember what he said. You should be patient. It's going to look different. And the team you see, I'm paraphrasing, the team you see right now, this thing is going to be built all the way through the summer. He's basically telling you, if a Myles Garrett deal happens, it'll happen post-June 1. That's Andrew Berry and him talking what's in the best interest for the salary cap and restructuring of the $80 million that's still owed to him. According to Myles Garrett's agent, he'd be willing to restructure that $80 million. You would restructure it in Cleveland and then trade him to the Eagles. And then the Eagles would give back whatever they're going to give back in exchange, draft picks or a player or all of it. That right there is how they're going to do it if the deal happens. Okay? I mean, once again, this has got to be for both sides. Remember something. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith are fabulous ball players. No one's debating that. That guy is a generational player, still in his prime. There's no conversation here. And your general manager knows that. Your GM knows that. Why are you trying to sell us a car we don't need? No, I'm not selling you anything. I'm selling you what your GM's doing. Diane Rossini, who's there at the combines, is saying the same stuff. That the conversation is that the Eagles now are the number one favorite along with the Commanders on landing Myles Garrett. I'm just repeating what's going on, and I'm giving you my spin on what your general manager's doing. And by the way, hey, Embrace, if you fucking love Zach Bond so much, why doesn't he have a contract on the table? Hey, I'll tell you this, Josh Sweat, I spoke to Drew Rosenhaus. There's no deal on the table. They're letting him walk. The Raiders want him. The Raiders are going to offer him $20 million. Bye. See ya. The more I think about it, we could play young trot if we had to behind Garrett and Carter. It is a big risk to let the guys walk while waiting. Hey, those guys, dude, how about this, Tyler? I want to know what I'm worth. Wouldn't you? I don't give a shit what M. Reyes says. What's going on? He has no idea what's going on at the combines. I talked to Alonzo Highsmith at the combines. I talked to Dan Morgan at the combines. I spoke to Carl Dunbar, who worked out the D-line guys. I spoke to Alfredo Roberts, who worked out the tight ends. I talked to people who are there. The fuck does M. Reyes know? Okay? Your general manager is trying to make something make sense to him. All I'm doing is telling you what's being said at the combines, and you don't like it. This ain't my news. This is your news you're making. You can say whatever you want. Your general manager's making the news, not me. Garrett doesn't have a no-trade clause. I doubt we have the best package. I like Jack Sawyer, plays with his hand down. He can stand up. He's an effort guy. JD3, he is. I think you can land him in the second round. Top of the second. I think you can land him. We're going to have our winners and losers here in a minute. I would make the deal. No, but it has to be perfect. Who would I trade? So let me ask you something. Myles Garrett makes you indestructible. Nolan Smith, I'm not sold on him. Why? Guy's paper mache. Same thing with that Nakobe Dean dude. These guys are always hurt. Are they good players? Absolutely. Absolutely good players. Paper mache. Always injured. You drafted Nolan Smith hurt. You drafted Nakobe Dean hurt. That's not going to change. That's their history. They're injury-prone dudes. Now, Dean played a lot this year, but his body couldn't handle a 17-game schedule. Facts. Every year he's been an Eagle, he's been on IR at the end of the year. Those are facts. Those are facts. You are not the same team if you lose Milton, Vaughn, and quite frankly, like Diane Rossini says, there's a great chance he walks away from all three of them. That's not me. She spoke to Howie this morning. And Howie said, it's going to look different. What are you not understanding or not wanting to hear? Okay? Dean got hurt in the playoffs. That is so not true. It's so not true. Dean has been hurt every year he's been an Eagle. Maybe it was the Green Bay game. Maybe you're right, Chuck. Here, Chuck, every year he's been in Philly. Every year he's ended up on IR. Okay, I think it was the Green Bay game, Chuck. You're right on it. Okay? For the record, draft picks versus Myles Garrett is a joke of a conversation. Now, would you trade A.J. Smith, part of a package, to get Myles? Would you? I would trade Devontae Smith in a package for Myles Garrett. A 1-2 in him? Sure. I don't think that's enough. But I think that's all I'd be willing to offer if I was Philly. A 1, which is 32, not the best. A 2, which is 32. And I would offer Devontae. Devontae's going to be the linchpin to make it happen. You can live without Devontae. You can live without that guy. AJ, on the other hand, the money and the player, not sure I want to go down that route. I can see Nolan Smith, a first this draft and a second. Here's what's going to happen, though, Scott. Cleveland's going to go, the guy's always hurt. And he's undersized. Nolan Smith is not a trade option for Cleveland. They'd rather go in the draft. I mean, hey, your general manager is thinking about it. He's basically tipping your hand or his hand and telling you what he's going to do. Nolan Smith's not tradable, and he's on IR now, and he won't be ready for training camp. Oh, okay. Yeah, he's not tradable. When we're talking Myles Garrett, who the fuck do you think Nolan Smith is? He will never approach. Dude, you're lucky if he becomes Hassan Reddick. He's a good player. For us, even having him in a conversation like this is incredible on how good he has improved his draft stock on being potentially traded in a draft. I'm not debating this. I know how this works. Smitty versus Myles Garrett. Are you fucking nuts? Ask anybody with intelligence in the NFL. That's non-starter. Bro, by the way, I don't know if it's enough to get a guy like that. I don't know if that's enough. You people fall in love with your players too much. You look like children with dolls. What are you, psycho? Gives a shit about that. True fans of Philly are so fickle, disgusting, passion, and just plain disrespectful. If I was Bond, give me the money or I'm out. Correct. Zander, I missed the super. Thank you, DC. I appreciate you. Guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button. And again, end of the day here, man. We're talking about a transcending player. That's what we're doing here. Why would the Browns want A.J. Brown? He's a good player. They better ask for Smitty. A.J. would go insane with them losers. He's already crazy here. Okay? And they don't have a quarterback, which would drive him nuts. Absolutely. Smitty is perfect for the Browns. And like I said, anytime you're talking about a player like Devontae Smith or A.J. Brown or any of those guys, by the way, Nolan Smith and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, are you kidding me? Nolan is not in that conversation with those other two guys. They're durable. They're productive. They're great. You're giving me prospects and potential. Fuck potential. Potential is the most overrated word used in professional sports. That means you haven't really done anything yet. That's what potential means. When you put the word potential around Myles Garrett, you don't have a conversation about potential. You know the production. You morph into production. You don't talk about potential with Jalen Hurts anymore, do you? Okay? You talk about production. Those are great players. Nolan Smith is potential. Trotter, potential. It's all crapshoot. By the way, whether you like the deal or not, your general manager's thinking about it. Been on the horn with Andrew Berry. I know DePodesta. They don't want to trade him. They do not want to trade Myles Garrett. They're saying all the right things. Why? Well, they are not doing the Howie Roseman mistake of Carson Wentz. We're going to have an open competition at quarterback. Why in the world would you make that second rounder a potential and a where you ended up making that deal with the Colts where that if he played a certain amount of plays, it became a first round? Don't do that. Don't dismiss the potential that you have for a guy. Myles Garrett, in my opinion, on the Eagles, it would be a mandate to bring back Zach Bond. Your ends would be Smith, Garrett. Your tackles would be Davis and Carter, which is insane. Jalen Carter playing with Myles Garrett. I mean, what would be the comp? I'm talking NFL history. It'd be better than Reggie White and Seth. That would be better than Reggie White and Jerome, or as good. It'd be the best tandem you've had since Reggie and Jerome. That's a good one, Tyler. Sapp and Simeon Rice. Garrett's better than Simeon. Carter's not as good as Sapp yet. He could be. Reggie and Jerome. Anthony, I think Garrett's better than Simeon Rice. He's more productive. He's been on a number one defense. Um, dude, Sapp and Rice on a Super Bowl team, you got better. You would have, if you get rid of Devontae Smith and your first pick and your second pick, and you land Garrett, the Eagles got better, not worse. Even if you lose Milton, if you lose Milton, if you lose Milton and you lose Josh and you keep Bond and you make the deal to get Garrett, you're better. You're better than you were a year ago. By the way, every single person from Daniel Jeremiah to Diane Rossini, who's there right now in Indianapolis, believes this deal is definitely something that just might happen here. Zach Bond's agents in Indianapolis, he's telling people his clients going on the open market. That's what's being said there at the combine. Hey, by the way, I'm getting this information from others at the combine. I'm not making this up. Google it. There's sound bites everywhere. Why are you not believing this? Are you under the impression that Howie would make a deal like this to make you worse? You really think if you lost Josh Sweat, you gave up Devontae in a first and a second, you'd be worse of a team? Devontae Smith's probably the 60th best player in the league. Garrett's the first best player in the league. What are we talking about here? You're out of your minds. You can even make the comment that Devontae's probably like in the top 100 players. 80? Garrett's number one non-quarterback. He's number one. And you don't want to get better. Dude, if you lose Milton Williams and you lose Josh Sweat and Zach Bond, you got worse. How did you get better? Playing Trotter? Okay. He's not. Dude, there's a reason you drafted him in the 5th round. Okay? I mean, yeah. Sure. Okay. There's a reason he couldn't play over Oren Burks. And Vic wouldn't put him in. Why do you think, if he was so good, don't you think Howie would have wanted to play the guy he drafted in the 5th round this last year over Oren Burks? If he was so good, why didn't he start in the Super Bowl? Hey, by the way, you don't have to believe me. Just listen to the people at the combines that are reporting on this and asking Howie Roseman, who's watching all the players. Hey, I don't care if you don't believe me. I know what's going on. You have never been to a combine or talked to an executive like I have in your entire lives. You have no idea what you're doing. You're talking about a generational player. Don't fall in love with players. Fall in like with them. They are crazy. We can sign a number 2 receiver. We don't get the best defensive player in football every day. You still have a top 7 wide receiver in AJ. Top 7? JD3. Dude, did you see what Seattle's doing? They're in contract negotiation talks with sending DK Metcalf to Green Bay. Wide receivers are moved every day. Guys like Garrett are not. By the way, the Browns don't, the Browns offered him a contract extension. He turned it down today. They want to keep him so bad. He said no. They would have given him more money to stay. He said no. Okay? He said no. Why? Because he's wanting to play in either Washington, Detroit, or Philly. Dude, can you imagine the leverage you have in the game changing that you'll have if you're Myles Garrett? Plus, what is the number? Hey, guys, plus, what is the one thing that the Browns love about what I just said? You're out of the AFC. I don't have to see that guy again in my conference. Hey, by the way, if you lose, once again, Sweat, Milton, and you are, and Bond, you lose the three of them. You got worse, not better. You got worse. If you lose Sweat and you lose Milton and you lose Bond and you gain Garrett, you got better. You got better. Garrett makes you better. You could lose 3 players and get better. I don't think you want to really, you're not looking at this correctly. Howie Roseman is not doing this for any other player in the NFL but him. There's a reason why there's no contracts with your potential free agents. Hey, did you see what Khalil Mack just said? His agent and them already have a deal ready for March 12th with San Francisco. Khalil Mack's on his way, and it's a 90% chance that Khalil Mack's going to be a 49er on the other side of Nick Bosa. And I don't know where they're getting the money from. It's going to have to be a restructure. Khalil Mack's going to San Francisco. These deals are getting done now. So when midnight hits on March 12th, and you can start making these deals, that's why they fall in line. Okay? I mean, look at all these guys who are falling in love like you have a G.I. Joe or something. Fucking ridiculous. You look like children. Receivers are a dime a dozen. Thank you, Anthony. Dude, receivers, in my opinion, you didn't win. Get this, Anthony. You want to hear something crazy? You didn't win the Super Bowl because your receivers were stars. You won the Super Bowl because your running game was, and your quarterback was. I mean, your quarterback was. You had the year you had because of the running game, not because of the passing game. You took the game away from the passing game, and you won a Super Bowl doing it. Garrett's generational, correct. Besides, as much as we run the ball, you don't need 2 top 10. I think that's the key right there. You know, what's the point of having 2 top 10 wide receivers if you're 30th in passing? What's the point? What's the point of spending that money when your wide receivers, or you mean your entire passing game's 30th? I think I saw somebody tweet this at me. He goes like, "Hey, Sills, we're going to probably throw the ball more this coming year." I'm like, why? You won a Super Bowl not doing that. Well, we want to be more effective. No, it's okay. I agree with that. Want to be more efficient? Sure. But throw the ball more? Like how much? 20%? You're not going back to the Super Bowl. That's not how you want it. Why don't you stay who you are? Here we go again, going down that road. Why are you making Hurts fucking somebody he's not? Why are you doing that? How does that make sense? It doesn't make sense. Guys, do me a favor. Hit the like button here. Super chats go to the top. Anthony, thank you. I'm with you, dog. You didn't win the Super Bowl with some high-powered passing game. You were a dominant team because you were fucking so dynamic at the point of attack. Your quarterback was great in the ball game. And your running attack was great throughout the playoffs. That's how you did it. Fantastic. Now, once again, I'm telling you what folks are saying at the combines. Some of you don't want to hear it because you fall in love with these players like they're your brothers. Nobody cares. NFL GMs move players around like chess pieces. Now, if you draft a guy like Howie, that becomes something more because you put a lot more time and effort and resources into. Absolutely. Okay? Dude, Devontae Smith in a conversation with Myles Garrett. What are we talking about here? Do you actually think Devontae Smith's like some Hall of Fame talent? He's not. He's a really good ball player. That's not a Hall of Fame player. The guy on the other side might be. That's a Hall of Fame player. I think. He's got a Super Bowl now, maybe. Like, Devontae Smith better than Antonio Brown? Are you fucking drunk? Not even Julio Jones. Not in that room. So what are you talking about here? He's a really good player. I love the kid. Okay? I do. I like that guy a lot. And one more time for the record here. Guys, if Myles Garrett's name is not the name, I'm not having a conversation with you like this. And nor is anybody at the Combines. Do you know what the biggest story is at the Combines right now? Myles Garrett to Washington, Detroit, or Philly. That's the biggest story. And Philly's in it. Why? Because your GM's always in it. Dude, I mean, that's who your GM is. Okay? Hey, get this. Remember this. If you don't get Myles Garrett and you lose Milton Williams and Josh Sweat and Zach Bond, you got worse this offseason. How'd you get better? Who'd you get better with? Draft picks? So you're going to take 3 potential draft picks, plug them in for Sweat, who was the best player on the field in the Super Bowl, Milton Williams, who was the 5th best player on the field in the Super Bowl, and Zach Bond, who was the best linebacker in the league, and you think you're better? How? And you're going to put Jeremiah Trotter in there for Zach Bond? And Jacoby's not playing in September. What are we talking about here? Myles Garrett covers those losses. By the way, I happen to respect Diane Rossini a lot. She thinks Howie's walking away from all 3 of them dudes. Haven't spoken to him. She feels he's walking away from them because he's going to make a swing at Garrett. Those are her words. Haven't spoken to him this morning. How'd you get better? Where are you getting better if you lose those 3? Explain to me. Watch this. You want to see delusion? If you lose those 3 players on defense, did you get better or worse? Let me ask you. If you lose those 3 players, I think you are. Did you get better or worse? Got worse. Worse. Watch this. There'll be somebody in here who thinks you got better. Okay? Worse on paper, but we had this same discussion a year ago. No, you didn't. You had Milton Williams and you had Josh Sweat in the building. Your linebackers were the issue, not your front 4. Next man up. Okay, who's that, Frederick? Who are you replacing Milton Williams with? A draft pick? Okay. Who are you replacing Josh Sweat with? Jalen Hunt? Not as good. I don't know what you're talking about. And who are you replacing Bond with? Trotter, not as good. Get this. Ojamo is Says Frederick. Is not Milton Williams. You got worse. This is really not a conversation. Now, if you don't get Garrett, is Howie going to overpay? Or is he going to go into the draft? Hey, I'm just asking you a question. Your defense has got to, how about this? You got the right guy for the job. Howie Roseman. You got the right guy. By the way, I'm not making any moves. I'm talking about what moves you're going to make and what they're talking about and what free agency is coming up. There's no moves. Free agency's coming in 12 days. The players are going to go on the open market and they're going to test the market to see what their market value is, like any normal guy would. And you're going to have teams offer more money. And I'll tell you this, Biz, just because you're the Eagles and you have wings on your helmet, that doesn't mean they're going to fly home. Not when you got people like the Raiders, New England, Washington, who have $100 million in cap space to offer them absurd money. What the fuck you're talking about? There's nothing I'm saying now that won't happen. They're going to go in the open market and test free agency. Josh Sweat's not going to sit around and wait for some undermined cut deal where he's going to offer $12 million, where he is going to make $20 million from the Raiders. It's insulting. But because you're the champs, you can offer that. You're not replacing Smitty. Smitty had a horrible year this year, and he still won the Super Bowl. What are you talking about? He had 800 yards. All I ask is they get another running back if they trade Smitty to keep Barkley fresh. Completely true. That's why I was making the pitch for Chubb. John McMullen doesn't think Chubb will take a job that he's not the feature guy. I say this to you. Does anybody in here think that Nick Chubb is a feature back after the injuries? Does anybody believe that Nick Chubb is going to make $12 million in the open market coming off of a knee surgery? I don't. Make him your red zone LeGarrette Blount. Let him get his knee healthy. Sign him to a 1-year contract. Pay him $6 million. You got Nick Chubb and Saquon Barkley in your backfield. I'm pretty good with that. You put him back there better than any other garbage running backs they got in the draft. And plus, the Eagles are not going to spend assets on a running back in the top 3 rounds. Why would you? Give me a count on the likes. I appreciate you guys, man. Yeah, I think this is real. Are you paying Nick Chubb $9 million to come run the ball for you? You think that guy's knee's going to hold up to 250, 200, 300 carries as a feature back? I think his market is a lot less than what people think. I think you could sign that guy for $3 million. Let's take a look at that. Let's go to the NFLPA and see what Nick Chubb's number is right now as a market value. I'm going to the NFLPA. We got this thing we have that gives us market value on what we're looking at here. I got to put a code in here. Hold on. Nick Chubb. $3 million. $3 million bucks. Sounds pretty good to me. What'd you pay Gainwell last year? 2.5? Give me Nick Chubb. I'll take him over Gainwell. I'm good with that. Okay. I mean, and you're not asking that guy to go out there and carry 300 carries. Like I want Barkley too. Okay? I mean, who are you going to put back there? Will Shipley? Okay. I'd like to have another one with you, Anthony. I'm with you. Get Nick Chubb, a first-round draft choice guy. He's coming off a knee injury. Gives me about 125, 130 carries. That's all I'm asking for. And sign him to a one-year contract at $3 million, $500 more than you gave Kenny Gainwell, and I'm good. I'm good. Me a total on the likes. I appreciate you guys a lot. Okay. Big Sills. The linebackers and the defensive linemen, defensive tackles. 81 guys. Let's hit that like number, please. Appreciate you guys. Here are my winners and losers. We're going to talk to Skip Holtz, head football coach of the Birmingham Stallions of the UFL. We're going to do that at 3:30 Eastern. We're going to talk to Jason Cole, who's at the Combines at 4:30. And we're going to talk to Zander as well. Please hit the like button. Here are my winners and my losers at the Combines. I'll say it one more time to you. I think the athleticism that these guys are showing today at the Combines is remarkable. Still, for me, game tape is the number one and the interview, and then the health. In that order. Okay? In that order. Game film, interview, and health are the three most important things when you're looking at a prospective prospect. Tape has to matter. I don't give a shit about a gym rat. Hey, congratulations for not robbing a bank. You work hard. You're a great athlete. You excel in your training. Well, welcome to the NFL. What do you want, a pat on the back? Congratulations. I'm not sure if I'm going to reward that more than game tape, though. Look at Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis is the quintessential person. You fall in love at the Combines with a guy's athleticism. He's never in his entire career at Georgia or with the Eagles lived up to that athleticism. Never. He's not the football player. His athleticism is. It's never matched. Do you remember when we were having a conversation? He had 9 sacks in 3 years. He's not a productive player. He's never been. He was not a productive player at Georgia. He was not a productive player with the Eagles. And then they turned him into a nose. That's the equivalent of turning Mekhi Becton from a left tackle to a right guard. If you can't play a 3 technique, their envision of what Jordan Davis was Fletcher Cox, not Vita Vea or Vince Wilfork. I told you on draft day, that's the floor. And he's kind of that. Vince could play more reps, though. I mean, he's never been a productive guy. And this is a guy that ran a 4.78, had 330 or 340 pounds. It's one of the greatest 40s I've ever seen for a big guy. Everyone fell in love with it. Nobody's fallen in love with his play. There lies the difference. Nobody falling in love with the way he plays. I mean, those are facts. And they moved him the nose. If you offer Garrett and he doesn't take it, what is your vision of getting better when it comes to pickups? You're going to have to hit in the draft. Free agency's garbage. Or Matt, I'm overpaying for my own guys. Do you know what the Eagles' second best option is? If you don't get Myles Garrett, you have to overpay for your guys. Howie doesn't want to do that. Trades? For who? I'm not giving up any fucking players and high draft picks for Trey Hendrickson. No, thank you. I'll keep my guys. I won a Super Bowl without that dude. He was on the 25th ranked defense a year ago. Yeah, okay. Zero impact. Those 17 and a half sacks. I have no interest in that. Max Crosby, another guy. You don't build your football team from the perimeter in. You build it from the inside out. As long as I have Carter and I can re-sign Bond and I got Reed and I've got Cooper and I've got CJ up the middle, you won the Super Bowl because you were strong up the middle of your defense. You can lose perimeter guys, edge guys, outside guys, as long as you're stopping the run. All the teams that were great in stopping the run were playoff contenders. Can't stop the run? You can't have a good defense. It's impossible. Okay? You can't. What was one of the reasons? Get this. Okay. Get this. Look at what my logic is flawed. You lost Hassan fucking Reddick and 11 and a half sacks, and you were better because you were stronger in the middle, Twiz. How is that logic? And you got better at linebacker. Holy shit. Really? Well, that's not what happened. You got better at linebacker. You got better at playing the run. How is that flawed? You became the number one defense because of that. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. He thinks he does. I asked the question to drill that point. There isn't much of an option. That's right. I think you got to overpay. We only are really getting better with Garrett unless we can shell out the dough. That's right, Matt. Matt, I think there's two options here. Matt, I think you got two. Garrett or overpay and keep your guys. Drafting, okay. You might find a guy. I'm with you. Guys, do me a favor. Give me a total on the likes. Please do me a favor also. Supers go to the top. Give me a count where we are. Don't forget, we're going to talk. We're going to have a cool conversation with Skip Holtz. That'll be at the bottom of the hour. I'm a big fan of spring ball. I'm a big fan of football anywhere. And Fox, NBC, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, ESPN have made massive investments in the UFL. We're going to talk to three-time champion. He might go for 4 championships in a row. Lou Holtz's son, Skip Holtz. I've known him since he was at Florida State. And his dad was at Notre Dame. We've had a relationship for over 30 years. I love the guy. Do me a favor, guys. Please hit the like button here. Here are the guys that impressed me on what I saw at the Combines. Derek Harmon, Oregon, 6'4". Listen to this. 6'4", 313, 495. What's making these guys so insane is their vertical jumps of third. Just to give you a perspective, there's not one defensive tackle that ran faster than I did. I did a 4.8. These guys were about 4.83, 5 flat. Not impressive. But I'll tell you what is impressive is their athleticism. These vertical jumps. That's one of the most athletic things you can do is at a stand still and jump up 40 feet or 37 feet or 33 feet at 315 pounds is tremendous. The kid from Oregon could be a second rounder. This kid, Ty Robinson, ran a good one. He ran a 4.83, had a 33.5 vertical, 6'5", 288. I like that. I might get him in the third or fourth. I'm not looking at these guys as being first rounders here. I'm looking at if I see them on the board and best player available, where is he if I'm in the third? Are one of these guys in the third? I'll grab him. CJ West, Indiana. Indiana had a really good year there. They're bringing in some talent into Bloomington. Ran a 4.95, 33 vertical. This kid's 6'1", 313, a little undersized at the height. Pretty good athlete. That kind of right there is what Warren Sapp and what Aaron Donald. Do I see that? No. But fourth or fifth round, I'm good. James Pierce. There's two dudes I've been telling you about, and one of them's in my sandbox, is Pierce. I've been telling you this guy's name for over a year. James Pierce has had a really good, it's been a little up and down in the SEC. I'll say this to you. He's playing in the Southeastern Conference. That already is a two-star bell for me. Plays against the best competition, the best teams, the best schedule. He's at Tennessee, which means what? Great coaching. This kid's 6'5", 245, and he ran a 4.47. He's got a 31 vertical. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I like him. Him or Sawyer for the Eagles. You don't get Garrett, I'm there. I've seen Pierce's name anywhere from 11 to 30. These stupid quarterbacks are going to push the list down. Now, remember something with Pierce. Again, like I told you guys yesterday, the one thing that Big Sills does, unlike anyone else, I vote on all these guys. For all ACC, all SEC, all Pac-12, all the awards, the Outland, Lombardi. I'm on the chairman. I'm on the board of directors for the Lombardi Award based in Houston. So I evaluate all these guys every year. Zander, I value his opinion. He's a huge college football fan. Problem with him is he just lives in Philly. Nobody gives a shit about college football until right now. But that gives him an advantage. More so than all those fake guys that are on WIP pretending to be draft experts. And by the way, I'm not suggesting to you that I am. I've just been around it and in the process. Like I would listen to Hugh Douglas. Ike Reese and them do. I totally would. They've been in the process. Okay? Here. Now here's a kid. What's his name? Zander Shamari Stewart, A&M. 6'5", 270, 4.59, had a 40 vertical. Here's my problem with him. His tape doesn't match up to that. I mean, he had 3 sacks last year. How is he a beast when his tape doesn't tell you he is? See what he said? Beast. Well, he's a beast in the workout gym, that's for sure. But is he a beast on the field? I don't see it. Okay, now here. Remember I told you Chop Robinson was a guy I wanted the Eagles to draft last year? Finished third in the Rookie of the Year voting. Had a pretty good year. He had 3 sacks at Penn State his final year. So, put in a Vic Fangio system, could he be more productive? Probably. RC3, Clint Hurt can fix that? Possibly. Yes. I'm just giving you an overall here. His tape, though, man, when you watch him, I don't see him like he's not an impact player. I don't see impact. When I watched Chop play, I saw him with his hands. I saw him setting edge. This kid Stewart kind of gets lost in games. You know, I mean, I like guys who stand out in a crowd. I'll give you one. Jimmy Johnson used to say to me all the time. Jimmy goes, I like playmakers. I want playmakers on my team. That's why Jimmy could take a Jason Taylor in the third or a Zach Thomas in the fifth and send him to the Hall of Fame. Okay, Abdul Carter wants to fall to the Eagles. I'm sure he does. Nobody wants to. Nobody wants to go to shitty teams. Okay, nobody. Let's see here. Let's take a look at this. Let's see. See if you're right there, Spike. Let's take a look. So, let's see here what our guy did in his first season. He had 7 sacks. He finished 5th AP voting for Defensive Player of the Year. That's who Chop Robinson was. He finished 5th in the AP Rookie Defensive Player of the Year. Cooper DeJean, Brandon Fisk, Quinyon Mitchell, and Jared Verse. And he was 2nd in sacks for rookies. Chop Robinson. Spike said he sucked. Okay. All you need to know about Spike. Not very intelligent. Another guy, edge rusher. Colin Oliver. These are guys that I saw that stuck out to me. Oklahoma State. Little undersized, 6'2", 240, 4'5'6". I don't really like looking at Big 12 guys. Name me a defensive player out of the Big 12. Okay? Name me a defensive player out of the Big 12 you look at right now and go, guy's a great football player. Can you? Like just an absolute beast of a defensive player. I'm going to show you something else. Who? Name me a Big 12 guy. Okay? Here, I'm going to show you this. Here are the defensive players of the year from the Southeastern Conference. Dallas Turner, a starter. Will Anderson, a starter. Patrick Surtain, a starter. Josh Allen, a starter. Roquan Smith, a starter. Jonathan Allen, a starter. C.J. Mosley, a starter. These are the guys who have been the last 11 or 12 SEC Players of the Year. When I sign a guy and I look at this kid here, Kyle Kennard. Kyle Kennard I'm pretty sure he's going to be a starter in the NFL. Why? That's what the SEC produces. That's who they produce. Is he on my list? God, I hope so. Yes. He is. Here he is. Kennard. Absolutely. I'm going to take a look at him, but I probably can get him in the second or third. Okay. I like this kid Hunt from SMU, defensive tackle, third or fourth round, 6'3", 290. Could be a good guy in there for the Eagles. Get him in the third or fourth. Hey, Steve, don't cry to me. Let's see here. Yeah. The linebackers, I'm not impressed with. The kid from UCLA ran a 4.46. I don't know who he is. What's his name? Medrano, UCLA. This guy ran a 4.46, had a 38 vertical. I never heard of him. UCLA stunk. Who is he? Is he good? Dude, you could be a really great ball player on a shitty but get this. Look at Quinyon Mitchell. That was at Toledo. What? Who? It was between him and Teron Arnold. I don't know who this guy is. I have no interest in that. Now, you want to give me in the fifth? If he's there, do I take a shot? But I'm not signing the guy because he was a gym rat. And he was good in his shorts. If he doesn't have game tape. If this guy shows up to the combines and he runs a 4.46 and he's got a 38 vertical, and this guy was nowhere on the planet for his football team, which stunk last year for UCLA, what am I doing here? This kid Campbell from Bama. You know what I keep hearing from Zander? John, everyone in Philly. You know what I hear? Howie never draft a kid. 4.52, 6'3.5", 235. It can fucking play. He's not going to sign him. Why? Especially if you lose Bond. Why wouldn't you sign that? The 32nd pick? Who are you expecting down there? Reggie White? Honestly, who are you expecting there? What are you expecting with the last pick in the draft, in the first round? What are you expecting? Somebody tell me something here. Okay. I'm going to show you what Kansas City did last 2 years. They picked down at the very end. They got that kid from Purdue, the pass rusher, and they got Xavier Worthy. You pick the best guy who's available down there. You just don't do this. Fuck that. I'm not picking the linebacker because we don't. That's not a plan. That's arrogance. If you're picking 32 and you lose a linebacker and you got a backer on IR in Jakobi, you take a fucking linebacker there if you don't want to spend money in free agency. How's that not sense? So wait a minute. I'm not picking on Zander or anybody in Philly. I'm just saying, how do you – okay, you got a linebacker on IR and Nakobe Dean, and you lose Bond. And you're not going to take the best guy available at that position of need, and he's the best guy available because you don't want to. Okay. Why would you pass on that? And you get him on a rookie deal at 32. Or you can make a trade with Tennessee, get him at 33 if you want to go, where you don't have to deal with the first round money. It can't be that hard. I mean, right. I'm not doing it because we don't do that. Yeah, you also didn't give $10 million or $12 million to a running back, but you did. I'll tell you this. Do you really think Vic Fangio is going to sit there, if he watches tape on this kid from Bama, I'll tell you this. Zander, the Bama linebackers over the last 10 years, I'm talking inside. Name me one. Hightower? Who else? Name me one inside linebacker from Bama in the last 10 years. They've all been edge and DTs. Name me a backer. This kid's the best linebacker Bama has had probably since Hightower. CJ Mosley, really good ball player. He's a free agent. Jets are moving on from him. So the Eagle mentality is the best player available at 32 would be this. Fuck that. I'm not doing it. I'd rather go find a free agent or UDFA. That's how you not have a good offseason. The most destructive team, in my opinion, Roquan Smith's a Georgia guy. The most destructive team that could be hit the hardest in free agency could be the Eagles. So, Reuben Foster was a Butkus Award winner in 2016. So we're talking 10 years ago. Okay? 10 years ago. I don't remember Reuben Foster as an NFL dominant player. I must have missed that. Again, you have the right guy to fix this. Okay? You have the right guy. Am I telling you that Howie's going to have awful offseason? No, I think he's got big how about this? Do you not agree that this could be the most challenging offseason for Howie since he gained back the general manager's job? Do you think this is the most challenging? Now, the Carson Wentz decision was pretty epic because you had to move on from him. Now it's a lot of money, and you ended up eating $33 million in dead cap. So that was a big decision that you had to make, and you moved on. And you did a great job with the fact that what you did with the draft picks. Look at the draft picks that you got in exchange from Indianapolis. Because of that deal, he recovered great. And you had the security blanket in Hurts. Okay? Think about this. Once again, Carson Wentz helped you win a Super Bowl. Carson Wentz helped you win your second Super Bowl. Do you know who all those picks ended up being that they got from Indianapolis? Look it up. Who they landed on in getting those picks. Hit the like button. Yeah, I'm not impressed with any of these linebackers. Except for Campbell. The Danny Stutzman guy ran a pretty good 40, 4.52. Had a 34 vertical, 6'3", 233. I'd take a shot at him in the fourth. I think he's a fourth round guy. Like, I don't know, third, fourth, bottom of the third, somewhere in there. Maybe. Like, do I think he's better than Trotter? Probably. He's faster. Trotter ran a 4.9. This guy's 4.52. This guy's a better athlete than Trotter. I don't know. I mean, Trotter's not very fast. He's got great instincts. Hey, by the way, Skip Holtz is going to join us at the bottom of the hour. Always a great conversation. Okay? So, yeah, these linebacker guys, I'm not impressed with them. I'm impressed with the D tackles and the edge guys. A lot of athleticism. Look at this, 36, 32 verticals, 31, 40, 33 and a half. This kid, Stewart from A&M, 40. Again, the only problem that I have with this kid, Stewart, dude, he's 6'5", 270. He's just not very productive. Okay? He's just not. Guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button. We appreciate it. Yeah, this kid, Demetrius Knight from South Carolina, 4'5", 31. Vertical, 6'2", 235. Teammates love him. He's a captain. I am in love with the SEC, as you can tell. If I were being recruited right now again, I'm not playing in any other conference but the SEC. I'm not going to even play in the Big Ten. I don't want to play against fucking Northwestern. I mean, I'm definitely not playing in the ACC. I'm not playing Wake Forest and Duke, NC State, places like that. Absolutely not happening. I'm playing in the SEC because if I can't start in the SEC, I can't start in the NFL. If I start 4 years in the Big 12, who cares? If I start 3 years or 2 years or 1 year in the SEC, I'm going to the NFL. That's why every year, the majority of the kids, hey, if you think about it, look at the great players that are playing in the game today. They're all Southeastern Conference guys. The top flight guys, Garrett. I mean, the quarterbacks aside, where do all the top wideouts come from? Ohio State, not the Big Ten, and the SEC. I mean, they play against the best. They get the best coaching. They have the best facilities. If you've ever been to Tennessee in Knoxville, or you've ever been to Tuscaloosa and you've seen those facilities, I'm sure Zander's been. Zander, I don't know if you've ever been to NovaCare. If you walk into NovaCare and then you walk into Alabama's facilities, you'd be like this. I can't believe the NFL has such shitty facilities compared to Alabama. That's what I thought too. I went from college to the pros. I went from a room that we had to do all of our press conferences in. It was tiered. It was beautiful. It was an auditorium at Miami. I got to the Bucks. I was in a trailer. I was like, this is pro ball. The weight room was as big as a 500 square foot room. I couldn't believe it. It's crazy. So, I mean, if you're doing any of that, you're in a position where, again, and you're being recruited, you want to go where the best kids in the country are. That's what you're doing. You're looking to go and look, I'm not saying that the Big Ten is not a place to go. They had a great year this past season. They really did. They had a great year this past year, but the majority of the time, if you're looking for scouting and you're looking to recruit, you want to have guys who, in my opinion, have been coached by the best coaches in the country. Coaching, evaluating, evaluators. That's why all of those schools spend millions of dollars, and that's why you're seeing the SEC one of the most successful conferences there is because of all the money that they spend when it comes to player resources. Okay? Hit the like button. We're going to try to catch up here with Skip Holtz. Hopefully we can catch up with Coach here in a second here. I see he's trying to connect with us here a little bit. And as you know, we're big fans of football. We're big fans of spring football. And we are absolutely, we had The Rock on a couple years ago, about a year ago. We had Dwayne Johnson on. So hopefully we're going to be able to catch up with our friend Skip Holtz here. By the way, hit the like button here. So again, the combines, in my opinion, I think they were absolutely showing us a lot of the athleticism that you're seeing. These kids with 30-inch vertical jumps and 40 verticals, man. And the training that goes into the guys is incredible. It's absolutely incredible in what they're doing here. Today is DBs and the tight ends. I'm not a real fan of what the tight ends look like right now. So we're trying to connect with Skip. I believe we're not there yet, are we, Zander? I don't believe we're there yet on getting connected with Skip here. So we're trying to get connected. Skip's going for his 4th championship in a row. Was USFL, then it was USFL twice, if I'm not mistaken. Then it was the UFL last year when it all merged. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he had like 15 guys end up signing to NFL contracts and also NFL training camps. It's a really great league, and it's getting better and better all the time. Hey, RC3 goes, Sills, can you get Baldy on the show? Well, you missed him. He was on 2 days ago. So again, please hit the like button. Here's some of the guys to keep an eye on for today. As you look at how many people like the combines? I love the combines because you get a sense of understanding where the athleticism is with the guys. But at the end of the day, remember, the tape matters the most. Okay? Here are my guys today to keep an eye on. Travis Hunter, obviously. Now, I put a grade by him, and I got these grades from Alonzo Highsmith, who's the director of personnel up in New England. So I got a grade for him. Sills Wardrobe, worse than Doug Funny. Sure. Travis Hunter, number 2 prospect in the draft from Colorado. A comparison? Is he like Dion? He's the most athletic DB I've seen in 15 years. Is he better than Surtain as a corner or Derek Stingley? That I don't know. That I'm not sure. Okay? Like, Sills, do you think when you look at Travis Hunter, do you see Derek Stingley and do you see Patrick Surtain? I don't think so. I don't know. I see the athleticism that they have. Do you think he's going to be as good as those guys? I'm not sure. He's got the ability. He's got the athleticism to make that happen. But again, I don't know if he's those guys. Jahad Barrow, he's a first-round pick. Probably around the 10th or between 10 and 12. Best prospect in the draft. Texas cornerback. These positions are money positions. He's going to be between 10 and 12. He's a good player. Okay? I mean, his first year in the SEC, he fit right in. You know, when everyone thought Texas would struggle going into the Southeastern Conference, they didn't. They had SEC talent in their first year. He's a good-looking player. Okay? Will Johnson is another first rounder, probably between 25 and 30. From Michigan, has a national championship, was very instrumental, probably the best team or best player on the team the last 2 years at Michigan. Funny, Michigan's got a lot of good players going into the draft this year. They just didn't have a very good year, and they had a great moment when they beat Ohio State. He's a good player. This kid, Iman Amura from South Carolina. South Carolina's got some really good football players. I don't know why. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, Zander, help me out on this. I think if I'm not mistaken, I think South Carolina was one of those bubble teams this year. I think he was a bubble team, and those guys were on the bubble. They had a lot of good football players. He's a good player, man. He's a safety, though. Malachi Starks from Georgia, about the 35th player. Would Howie take another safety? Follow me here, okay? What are you guys going to do at corner in Philly? Would you draft another safety in the second round? Would you move? If you move off a Slay and you put Cooper out there, would you sign a guy in the second at safety? Because I don't think you have a guy on the roster that could fill that nickel. Who, Avonte Maddox? Skip's having trouble. Can you use your phone? Use your phone. Pardon, guys. Zander, send it to his phone. See if we can do that. Having trouble connecting here with him. Hopefully we can connect with him here. I want to hit on him, get a conversation going here. Yeah, here's Chuck. Yes, Dan, South Carolina almost made the playoffs, but fell behind two teams. They lost to Bama and Ole Miss. Hey, Chuck, they had a lot of good football players. I mean, they had a lot of good players on that team. I like South Carolina. South Carolina had a pretty good football season too, man. They got a bunch of guys here that, without a doubt, with absolutely sensational. All right, guys, I'm going to read all your supers here in a second. I'm going to give Coach Holtz a chance to get settled in here. And first and foremost, I'm going to bring up a name here, Lake Nona. Okay? And so I get invited by Coach Holtz one day because I was broadcasting in Florida. And by the way, Skip and I go back a long ways. I believe he was at Florida State in '87. Then he was working for Coach Bowden. And then when he got the USF job, which, God rest his soul, Leroy Selman hired him. Okay? Leroy Selman, one of my dearest friends, hired Skip Holtz. And Leroy started the USF program, and he hired Skip. And Skip used to come on the program. I'd go down. We'd be in the box. I think it was an air conditioning guy that had a suite there. His name was Mike. And he'd have us go to the games. And he goes, yeah, I know you're a Hurricane, Sileo, and all this. But here's what I always tell you guys the story about Skip Holtz's dad. I want to do this before I bring him on. By the way, he's going for his 4th title in a row, which is awesome. I'm so glad he's working with The Rock now. But here would be his dad. That Miami team, I don't know. They just got so many great players. They got so many good players. These guys are so – and Jimmy Johnson would turn and look at all of us and go, Notre Dame is 8-0. What's he talking about? What do you mean he doesn't know? I don't know how we're going to hang with these guys. The speed they have, they're just so good. I love Coach Holtz. Play golf with him tons over at Lake Nona. I think he's on I won't say, but he's on one of the tee boxes, and you can see his house. right there on the tee box. All right, without further ado, the man who's going for 4 straight championships, and I'm a fan of spring ball. You see that helmet back there? I played in the spring. And I was with the World League at the time. The NFL owned that here, and he gives opportunity to players and gives them a chance to keep